Okay, we talk about current liability. So for current liability, we have three major current liabilities, right? Depends on uncertainty or certainty. So today we want to finish the first major current liability is pretty sure, right? So we are pretty sure in the future we have to pay some money back to someone. Okay? So totally 10 cases about the current liabilities. We've done the first one, two, three, four last week. So we are going to finish the others today. Okay. So please go to your slide on 32. Dividends payable. This is the fifth current liability we have. Okay, but don't want to go to the detail because first of first we mentioned that at your first year, right? And the second, the items will be repeated again on chapter 15. Okay, so the basic idea is when we talk about dividends payable, means we owe the money to whom? Shareholders, right? So when we talk about dividends payables, is current liability. Why is current liability? Because usually we pay the cash dividends to shareholders next month or next 2 months. So it's pretty short time. So that's why this kind of liability is current liabilities. But did you find out we talk about dividends payables. We pay the dividends to shareholders. We mean cash dividend or share dividends. Remember that? If you forgot, it's okay. We talk about cash dividends, not share dividends. Okay? So when we talk about dividends payable means we owe shareholders cash money and we are going to pay the cash dividends to shareholders in the future, not share dividends. Okay? Why? Why is not share dividends? Anyone? Dividends payable only for cash dividend, not for dividends, not for share dividends. Why? If we don't think about the journal entry, if I use the journal entry will be what? Debit cash dividends, right? Credit dividends payable. How about share dividends? Debit share dividends. Credit credit what? If we give them shares already, so there will be what? Share capital and share premium. That's for journal entry. But if you skip journal entry, you will understand why. Dividends payable means what? You owe someone money, right? So in the future, you have to pay the money to someone. So you owe them money. That's cash dividend. Share dividends, in the future, we are going to give them shares, right? So they will become your shareholders again. So did you find out when we give them shares, they become your shareholders. So that's equity, it's not liability. Okay? So when we talk about dividend payable, we mean cash. We owe them cash, and we are going to pay the cash in the future. Okay? So next current liability is customer advances and deposit. So deposit, 押金, 租金. Have you paid any deposit to someone? Yes, right? Like what? Maybe you want to rent a car, you want to rent a bicycle, or you want to rent a house. So have you ever paid the deposit? Yes, right? So what's the key word? When we talk about liabilities, means what? In the future, you have to pay the money back to someone, right? So when we talk about cash deposit, the keyword is returnable. Returnable means what? You have to return the deposit to your customers or to someone else. Okay, since you have to return the deposit to someone, so this is your liability. Why is that? In the future, you have to return the money to someone else. So any case you rent a house, right? Have you paid any deposit? Yes, right? 1 month deposit. So will you get your deposit back in the future? When? After you don't want to rent the house anymore, right? So you can get 1 month deposit back from who? Landlord, right? 房东. So for landlord 房东, the returnable cash deposit is landlord's liabilities. Okay? So this one for rent. If we talk about rent a house. If you rent a house, so the landlord, 房东 will have this kind of liabilities, right? Because after the contract end completed, you don't want to rent a house, so the landlord have to pay the money back to you, right? Okay, so for these kind of things, so it's quite common, like what? Rent a house, or have you ever rent or borrow something from the school? Maybe the school will ask you to pay to deposit what? Maybe your student ID card, or maybe deposit your money, maybe. So all of things is about what? One guarantees. So for the landlord, why the landlord asks you to pay 1 month deposit? Because landlord want the guarantee. Why? After 1 year, when you want to move out, they want to make sure all the assets they have without any damage, right? If they find out any damage, they will ask you pay the money, right? So they will take the deposit from you to pay to cover any deposit, any damage. Okay. So this is another case. Any questions? No problem, right? Okay. It's quite simple, easy, and quite common case we have. So usually could be current or non-current liability. Could be current, could be non-current. Depends on the contract, right? If you rent a house for 1 year and you are going to move out the house within 1 year, so of course the landlord have to pay you money back within 1 year. So there will be current liability. But what if you decide to rent the house 2 years, 5 years? So how long landlord have to pay the money back to you? More than 1 year. Okay? So current, non-current depends on the contract. Unearned revenues, no problem, right? Unearned revenue, you got the cash already. In the future, you have to do something. So of course, this is your liability. Current, non-current, still depends on the contract. Okay? So within 1 year, current, more than 1 year, non-current. So unearned revenue could be current, could be non-current, depends on the contract. Like what? Flight ticket. If you buy the flight ticket, so you have to take the flight within 1 year. Of course, that's current, right? Have you ever subscribed English magazine like 2 years, 5 years? So for that, this will be non-current liabilities. Okay. Next, sales and value-added tax payable. Okay, so this one we talk about the tax. Actually, we have many kind of taxes, not only in Taiwan, especially in like United States. They have so many taxes. Like you have to pay the tax to the country. Also, you have to pay the tax to different state, right? Like California, like Texas, different states still they have their own tax. You have to pay. So we talk about a tax in this case item and the next one. So usually for government, the tax is their major revenue, right? They need the money to do something. So the major revenue they have is from the tax. So not only like what? Corporate tax, income tax. So corporate tax, income tax, we will talk about this. Next case, 盈利事业所得税 or personal income tax, 个人综合所得税. Actually, they are the same. They are income tax for company or for you personal. So even though for company, they have to pay income tax. For you personal, you have to pay income tax. Okay? So income tax means what? Income tax means they will base on your revenue to as you pay some tax. Okay? So based on your revenues, to determine how much money you had to pay to the government. But not only income tax you had to pay. Also, we've mentioned before, consumption tax is what? Is when you buy something, you had to pay the tax. So consumption tax is the tax paid by consumer, 消费者, okay? So it's the tax paid by consumer. So this case, we want to talk about the tax paid by final consumer. So there's consumption tax, 消费税. Okay? For consumption tax, 消费税 means consumer have to pay the tax. So like what? You want to buy a drink, you want to buy a food. So you have to pay the tax for your drink, for your food. So this kind of tax, we call it sales tax. Have you learned this term before? Sales tax, 销售税, right? When we determine what kind of scenario case we mention this, sales tax. We want to determine cost, right? Cost is what? 1 plus 2. What's 1? Purchase price. What's 2? Make it ready for sales. Make it ready for use, right? So you are the consumer. You buy the inventory. You buy equipment. So you have to pay sales tax. Okay? So we mentioned this case when we talk about cost. 1 plus 2, that's 2. Okay? Make it ready for sale. Make it ready for use. So there's a sales tax. Usually we pay 5%, right? So sales tax usually is our consumption tax. Consumption tax. Usually we pay the 5% in Taiwan. But did you find out? Here we have two different types of consumption tax. Actually, they are the same. So both of them are the same. The only bit different is sales tax is the government could wait until the last moment consumer buy the product, buy the service. At that moment, government take their 5% tax. Okay, so sales tax is government could wait until they could wait at that moment. What's the moment? Consumer buy the product or service at this moment. Usually, like what? We have wholesaler, right? Will sell the product to whom? Retailer, right? Then retailer will sell the product to whom? Consumer, right? So who pay the 5%? Consumer. So before, long time ago, actually we have only sales tax. Sales tax means government will wait at this moment to take their 5% from consumer. So at this moment, pay 5% to government. So they sales tax. So government could wait for their 5% at this moment. But when government need the money, usually sometimes they cannot wait. So that's why for the tax right now, most of companies, government cannot wait for their 5%. They want to take the money as earlier as possible. Okay, so value added tax 加值营业税 actually still for their 5%. But value added tax means government want to take part of their 5% at each step. Okay, so means what? Means even though still the same, wholesaler sell the products to retailer and retailer sell the product to consumer. But at each step, government want some tax. Government want some tax at each step. Okay. So the difference is government want to take the taxes at each step. They don't want to wait until last moment. Okay. So the only difference is this: when the government take the tax. Others totally the same. Otherly totally the same means what? 5% still paid by consumer. Okay, the logic concept is right here. If you want to learn the more details, you have to take another course, tax. So we have another course, tax. Will tell you how the more details. Okay. But right now, most of companies, industries have to use the second one, value added tax. Why? Because government want to get the money as soon as possible. Only for special company, special industry, you could use the first one. Okay. So the most common way right now in Taiwan we use is the second one. Want to take the tax at each step. Okay. But the result is the same. So what's the same result? Consumer pay their 5%. Okay, so 5% all paid by consumer. That's the same. The only difference is at which step government can take some money. Okay, so here is simple case like what? You go to McDonald's to buy hamburger, so you will pay what? You will pay totally $105. Why is that? Because selling price is 100, but don't forget you are the consumer. So you are not only pay their selling price to buy the hamburger, still you have to pay the 5% sales tax to whom? To the government, right? So totally, Madonna will get what? Will get $105. But Madonna only can keep 100 because they 100 belong to Madonna, right? So how about the $5? Don't forget, the $5 belong to the government. Okay, so right now you are the company Madonna. So we talk about the $5 is what? Before Madonna paid to the government, before they, at this moment, right now at this moment, the $5 is Madonna's current liability, right? So we call it sales tax payable. Why? Because they $5 Madonna all the money to whom? To government. Okay. So in the future, later on, like next month, Madonna have to pay the $5 to whom? To government. Okay. So we talk about this moment. What's this moment? Your company got the $5 because, but the $5 is not yours, right? So at this moment, you have a sales tax payable means what? You owe government $5. Okay, so that's what we mean at this moment. Your company, you a company owed $5 to government. Okay, so we use sales tax payable means which method you use. This one, right? Sales tax payable means your company could use this way. So this way means what? Government have to wait in the last moment to get a $5. But most of case, company have to use this way. Like what? You have to pay some tax to the government at each step. Okay? So when you use the second way, then this is the term we use. Value added tax payable. Okay? So depends on you use the first way, sales tax. So you have the sales tax payable, or you use the second way, value added tax. Then you have value added tax payable to the government. Okay? But no matter what, this is your current liability because usually next month you have to pay the money back to the government. Any questions? No problem. Okay, so that's for 8. How about 9? Income tax payable. Still, you owe the money to whom? Government about the tax. But this kind of tax is income tax. Income tax 所得税 means what? Based on your revenues, you have to pay some tax money to government. So based on your annual income, you have to pay some money to government, right? So no matter you are the company or you are personal, still we have to pay it. So for companies, at the end of each year, so on the last day, you have to prepare what? Income tax return. Income tax return is the format. So this format, Chinese 盈利事业所得税结算申报书. So what does it mean? You have to prepare this form, then to calculate, compute based on the past 1 year, your annual income. So you have to calculate how much, what's the tax, income tax you have to pay to the government. Okay? So on the last day, you have to prepare it and also recognize this is your income tax payable. Why? Because on the last day, we just calculate the number, but we are going to pay the money next year, okay? Within few months. So also you have income tax payables, okay? And of course, this is your current liability. Any questions? So income tax for your annual income. So based on your salaries, like for me personal, I still have to pay income tax. But usually government cannot wait for you, so they cannot wait for the whole year. So situation is like this. Before a long time ago, we have only sales tax, but when government find out they need the money as soon as early as possible, so they change their way to the second one. What's that? They want you to pay some tax during each period step, so they can get the money as soon as possible. So for income tax, the same. So what's the same? Uh, Here is the formula for company. So for the you don't need to memorize it. So in Taiwan, this is the formula for company to decide how much they should pay to the government. Okay, so usually it's 20%. So how about personal? Personal will have a different percentage based on your annual income. So go back to the issue I mentioned. Government cannot wait after the whole year. So they will what? They want you to pay the tax each month. So for me personal, I had to pay income tax each month. So like what? For example, my monthly salary is $100. So each month I have the salary $100. And based on that $100 each month I got, government cannot wait. So they want you to pay some tax each month. But how much I should pay? Personal tax I should pay depends on your annual salaries. So if you earn more money, you have to pay more tax. Like I forgot. Let me go to some slide. Mhm. Oh, like this. You know, in Taiwan, based on the annual salary you have, you earn more, you have to pay more tax. So we have a different kind of tax rate, but not only in Taiwan, in different countries still the same. So in America, in I don't know, in Thailand, still the same. So you earn more, you have to pay the higher tax rate. Okay, so the problem is based on your annual income, you have to note what's the tax rate you have to pay, right? But right now, each month, we don't know what's my tax rate. So what's the tax I should pay, right? But still, government want the money as soon as earlier as possible. So they ask you to pay at least 5%, the lowest one. Okay. So I was required to pay the lowest one, 5%. Okay. So based on 5% with my monthly salaries. So each month I pay the $5 tax. Okay. But you should know that $5 is not my really money tax I should pay to the government. Okay. Because that 5% is not my tax rate. Still, what's my actual tax rate should based on my annual 1 year salary, right? So each month I pay the $5 in advance. Why? Because government want their money as soon as possible, as early as possible. So I pay the $5. Okay. Then after that, when I know what's the real tax rate I should pay after the whole year, right? So after 1 year, I will know my annual income, right? So based on my annual income, I will know the tax rate I should pay is 5%. 10%, 12%, or 20%. Okay, so if based on my annual income, I know this is my annual income, $2,000. Based on this, I find out what is my actual tax rate, 20%. Because I earn more money, so I have to pay higher tax rate. So this is my actual tax rate. Okay? So what's the actual income tax I had to pay to the government? Actually is $400, right? Okay? So based on that $400, but I pay some tax to the government already, right? Each month I pay $5 before. So $400 I should pay, but I pay $5 before already. So could you tell me what is my income tax payable right now? $400 minus I pay $5 before each month, right? For past 1 year, 12 months. So how much I still owe the government? $340. So this is my income taxes payable. Okay? I still owe government $340. So did you find out? You want the money as early as possible. Government want the tax as early as possible. So they want you to pay $5 each month. So that's why for my salary, each month I pay that 5%. So actual money I got without that 5%. Okay? So after this, I still owe the government $340. When I should pay the money? Next year. In May and June, I have to pay the money back. OK，所以5月是什么？伤心的季节。为什么？缴税季到了。So for the $340, you are going to pay next year. OK，no problem. OK, so let's look at this slide 42. We talk about this case. So what kind of situation? 41. We use 41 the case to tell you 42. So periodic tax payable. Periodic tax payment means that 5% you had to pay each month. Okay, and its estimate is not true, right? Why? Because the actual tax rate you had to wait for the whole year. Depends on the whole year annual income to find out your actual tax rate. Okay, then let's go to last one. This one should be new for you guys. Okay, so the last current liability we want to mention is employees related liabilities. So this kind of liability is about your employees. Could you tell me so far which account we've learned about employees? So the company, all the money have this kind of liabilities about employees. Any kind? Salaries and wages payable, right? So You've learned before only salaries and wages payables, this kind of liabilities related to employees, right? Okay. So today we want to talk about other kind of liabilities about your employees. Okay. So what else? Three kind of situations. This kind of situation, we have liabilities because of your employees. So first is payroll deductions. Second one and third one is all about employees' benefits. So what's that? Means we want to get the benefits to employees. Because of this, we have different kind of liabilities incurred happened. Okay, so overall, you can say is employees compensations. Okay, because of employees compensations, we have especially second and the third one liabilities. Okay, so let's look at the first one, payroll deductions. Payroll deductions, 薪资所得扣减. So what does it mean? This is my paycheck. So each month I got a paycheck from our school. So did you find out so many items? But so many items, it doesn't mean each item I will get the money. It doesn't mean that because depends on what? Depends on whether you are the managers. If you are the managers, you have extra salaries. If you are not the managers, you don't have extra salaries, right? Okay, so many items right here. Then, like what? If in the future you apply the job, then the company told you, okay, I'm going to give you 40K. How much? $40,000, 4万块. But even though you expect you have a $40,000, will you get the $40,000 each month? No, it's not. Okay, why? Because payroll deductions. Because of this payroll deductions, so you will not really got $40,000. Okay, so in this case, for example, did you find out here? Original salaries $10,000. Original salaries $10,000 is the money, the salary you expect. So when you interview, apply the job, they will tell you originally salary. Okay, but each month, actually you only got extra salary $8,000. Okay, so you have a $2,000 disappear. You cannot get it $2,000. Why is that? Because of different kind of reasons. $2,000 you will not get from the companies. Okay, so that $2,000 you cannot get from the company. Did you find out deduction amount? So right now we talk about deduction amount. That $2,000 is payroll deduction, 薪资所得扣除额. Okay, so we talk about that $2,000. And this $2,000 is your company's liability, your company's current liability. So we talk about that $2,000. Okay, so means what? Means, did you find out your company will only give employees, give you $8,000 cash, but your monthly salary is $10,000. You only got 8,000. Means what? Your company kept $2,000, but the problem is that $2,000 not belong to your company. Belong to whom? belong to different department, different organizations. Okay, so your company keep the $2,000. Why? Because your company will pay the money for you to different organizations. Okay, so that's why that $2,000 not your company's. So your company keep the $2,000. And will pay for you to different unit. Okay, so we talk about the $2,000 is your company's liabilities. So two different unit to whom? $1,000 to government, maybe $600 to tax, and $400 for your insurance. So different kind of reasons. Like what? For our case, if each month the school keep their $2,000, and the school is going to pay the money for me to different unit. So different unit, maybe labor insurance, 劳保. Have you heard about that? So it's a different insurance. So the school pay the insurance fee for me to the different unit, like a labor. Labor is government, okay? And also pay different kind of insurance, health insurance, 健保, okay? So labor insurance, health insurance, also to whom? 失效退抚基金提缴 is for retirement fund. In the future, I'm going to retire, right? So I need some money for my retire life, right? So maybe I want to deposit some money for my retirement life. So this is to pay the money for what? For investment. So the school, with my permission, to deduct some money and use the money to do investment. Okay, so for what the purpose is for my retired life, I need the money. So with my permission, employees' permission, okay, then use the money to do some investment. Okay, and what's the purpose? For my retirement, I need the money. Okay, so the purpose for my retirement, my retired life, 退休. So you can find out the first three is for insurance, different kind of insurance. I need to pay the insurance fee. And this one is for my retirement. So I use some money to do investment each month, actually. Okay, and the welfare allowance for each company, they should have. Have you heard about 工会 unit union? So you need uh some organization to help your employees benefits in the inside the company. Okay, so we have a union. So it's not for free still. You want the companies or to have a union to work for employees' benefits. So each month we have to pay some money to support the union, right? So this is welfare allowance. Like I pay maybe $200 in my case, maybe $200 each month for union 工会. So that's why each month in school they have a different kind of activities. So the union will have different kind of activities in the company in the school. So you can decide you want to join the activity or not. But whether you want to do it, you have to pay $200. Okay, and what else? Tax. So did you find out each month I had to pay 5% tax. So this is a case I mentioned before. So income tax I have to pay each month, but you should know this is estimate, right? Because what's the actual tax rate I had to pay depends on the whole year. So did you find out? Because of different kind of reasons, I lost $2,000. So I cannot take that $2,000 each month. But still, that $2,000 doesn't belong to the school, right? So the school keep that $2,000 and will have you to pay it to different organizations. Okay, so we talk about this case. Any questions? Okay, and is current liability. Why is that? Because usually we pay different kind of money to different unit next month. Okay, so here is income tax to whom? To tax authorities, to the government. Okay, then labor insurance, health insurance to different unit. Like what? Labor insurance to Bureau of Labor Insurance. Health insurance to National Health Insurance Administration. So different unit. Okay. And employee savings for that $200. Sorry, not. Employee savings is what? Is with my permission, right? So I decide I'll use some money to do investment. So use the money to whom? Investment trust fund. So the investment trust fund will help me to do some investment, try to earn the money for my retirement. Okay. And that $200 welfare allowance is union due, right? So to whom? To union. They will give you some different kind of activities and also will support your any benefits in the school, in the company. Okay, so did you find out the money to different unit? So all of that, this is current liabilities because my school, my company had to submit the money this month. Okay, any questions so far? If you don't have any questions, so let's take a break.